Well, before Giraffe Laugh, I had recently moved here from Western Washington where my son was born. It was at that time that my son's father decided to regress in parenting. So I moved back home to where my family was to just kind of have a support system. So I found a childcare center that was close to home. I was real nervous. My son had never been in childcare before. I remember walking in and seeing a whole strew of kids locked in high chairs watching, I think, Friends or Seinfeld or various sitcoms would be on TV, and the adult there would be sitting there watching it, and all of the little babies would be strapped in high chairs watching the sitcom. And somebody referred to me, told me about Giraffe Laugh. First walking in, there were so many educational little areas and small tables and little chairs, and the way it was all structured, my son's eyes immediately opened up and he immediately wanted to go and play. The coolest thing about Giraffe Laugh that I thought was inspiring, it was all about, even from the youngest age, it was all about educating the children as much as they can. And it was all about bringing the community in and volunteering. They encouraged us there to help them grow and help them learn. I didn't really know that a childcare system could do that much for my child, for any child. He's the only sixth grader I know that wants to be a cardiothoracic surgeon. He's in gifted and talented classes in school. He's smarter than I ever will be. And that fire is because of Giraffe Laugh, and because not just what they do for the kids, but what they did to me. They just scooped me up. They scooped me up, they scooped my son up, and there was no judgment. They helped me in every way they could. I remember Christmas. It was the coolest thing. They asked if my son wanted to be adopted for gifts. And of course it would be helpful, so it happened. But it wasn't just gifts that I got. It was a Christmas tree, it was ornaments, it was a lighted snowman in my front yard, it was food, it was gifts, it was grocery shopping, it was household essentials, it was all of that stuff that in the month of December is just extra. They helped me out with all of it, no questions asked. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. And Giraffe Laugh is still, to this day, forever a part of my heart. And I can't wait for the day that I can repay you guys as much as you guys have done for me.
My name is Erin Miller, and my daughter is Kira, and my son is Jordan, and this is our Giraffe Laugh story. I had been taking my son, who was 10 at the time, to counseling because he was really angry and I didn't know how to help him. I didn't know where the anger came from, and he couldn't talk to me or articulate that. One session, my daughter said, "Oh, I want to go talk to the counselor too," and I was like, "Oh, okay, why not? Couldn't hurt." When she came out of the counselor's office, the counselor said, "You know, Erin, I need to call the police." And what Kira has reported to me, she told me about the sexual abuse that's been happening to her from her dad. Our whole lives went down this rabbit hole. I needed childcare because I needed to work and arrange everything that I needed to do to try to maintain for my family. And somebody referred me, "Oh, try Giraffe Laugh." And it was just so lucky that we got in to even have a place where you guys would work with us on the financial aspect. You guys welcomed us in, and not just Kira for childcare. I felt like you accepted us as a unit and a whole, helped provide resources, and just were so kind and understanding and compassionate. Mostly I was really focused on Kira because of the trauma that she had been through, and I really wanted her to feel as normal as possible, considering everything that was going on with court and custody and her transition and moving, that this was a place where she could just come and be a kid and be with other kids. And, you know, it wasn't about her story, it wasn't about what happened to her, it was just about being 5. That meant so much to me. It meant so much to me that I didn't have any money for real quality childcare, and I had visited so many other places where they just kind of keep the kids in front of a TV, or they do very little with them. There's very little engagement. And here, anytime I came to pick her up, we're always having a great time, and they were just happy, and they were doing things, and she was going swimming and going to the museum and having these outings that meant so much to me that she got, because as you know, people who are in poverty don't have access to those luxury, or what are seen as luxury kinds of things. I just really believe in the power of community. I saw what it did for us, and I saw what that love and compassion, how that impacted our family, and I believe in the power that when you give that to others, it comes back to you. And so I'll do everything I can to help provide maybe other people who are in my situation a place to go, a respite from a world that sometimes isn't very kind.
I am Mary Tibbs Smith, and I have 5 children. My youngest is a little girl named Kinsey, and when I was pregnant with Kinsey, I found myself at a place in my life that I never expected. I was suddenly a single mom of 4 kids with 1 on the way, and up until that point, my life as a mom had been pretty comfortable. My kids had been pretty comfortable. We always had everything we needed. And suddenly, here I was, expected to be the breadwinner for a family of almost 6. And I had never done that before. Really, financially was at a loss and was scared about how I was going to provide for my kids and for myself. I remember coming to a point where I realized that I had to go and apply for food stamps, and the shame of that, going to health and welfare and sitting in the parking lot and crying before I went in. And I had a seasonal job that I really loved and was excited to go back to, but I didn't know how to pay for daycare for a baby. I had no idea what I was going to do. I knew that if I couldn't pay for daycare for Kinsey, we would lose our apartment. The places I found that I might be able to scrape up enough to afford were so bad. I remember one place in particular that we looked at. The air in the place was heavy. There were no toys. The kids were sitting in front of an old TV in the basement of this house watching cartoons, and there were no art projects on the walls. There was nothing happy. And this was all I was finding, were places like this that were affordable. I began to really question, can I do this? I couldn't in good conscience leave her somewhere that was bad, that wasn't safe, that wasn't happy, that wasn't good. But I couldn't not go back to work. So what was I gonna do? And that's when I found out about Giraffe Laugh. I walked in and the kids were excited, and they were noisy like kids should be, and they were sitting at little tables and little chairs having this beautiful lunch that smelled so good. There were art projects on the walls, and there were teachers that were obviously in love with the kids, having a great time being with them. And this was what I needed. This was what every child care center should be. And so I had an opportunity to talk to the director of that center, and she talked about the sliding fee scale and the fact that yes, they could get Kinsey in. I cried again, and this time it was happy tears, because Kinsey was going to be loved and safe. Kinsey thrived, of course, in Giraffe Laugh, and so did I. The center ended up being less than a mile from my work, and I went in every day at lunch and was given a rocking chair and a blanket and nursed her every day at lunch, which so many moms don't get to do. I was encouraged by the women in the center. I was encouraged by Lori and Neely and the staff who came alongside and said, "You've got this, you can do this." And it's changed my life.